What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Well, we finally had our first post-release patch dropped for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, as well as an apology from Nintendo and acknowledgement of issues surrounding these games and a promise to fix them going forward. We'll go over that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about PlayStation Plus Premium because based on a new leak for the PlayStation Store, it appears that Sony is actually going to be putting a classic title into the service. And we'll also be going over a big reveal for Xbox when it comes to Game Pass for December. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button. Helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're going to start today with Borderlands 3, specifically for the Switch, because this is a rating that's popped up before, but now it appears like it's set for a reveal on the hybrid system. We can see this posted up. This over on Nintendo Life, citing Peggy with Borderlands 3. Now, this rating was issued on December 1st, so yesterday. It's for Borderlands 3, the director's cut, designer's cut, basically everything there that's listed. And this is a rating I had mentioned popped up previously about a year and a half ago, and it definitely caught people by surprise with this game. I would consider it, I guess, an impossible port. Kind of like how we had Nier Automata pop up. Borderlands 3 is a game that's ballooned to, I feel like, almost 100 gigabytes on other platforms with similar content here. Runs at like 30 frames per second on the Xbox One and the PS4, and I'm sure there are different things they can do to optimize and get it to work on the Switch and cut down that file size. At this point, I assume we could see it revealed maybe at the Game Awards, since as things kind of pop up online, we look towards the next big event for reveal, and it seems like that's a good spot for Gearbox to drop the news. Also, speaking of ratings, we are expecting Final Fantasy 16 to have some news at the Game Awards, and we are starting to see some of the ratings pop up on different boards, and it looks like they're going to be going pretty dark with this Final Fantasy entry. For example, we can see this posted up with the Brazilian ratings board, giving it a 16+ age rating. Now, people started to go through some of the descriptions for this, and I gotta say, it does seem like they are really going for it here. It's not gonna be that situation of, well, they're kind of skirting the line between teen and mature, and maybe certain camera angles they would have gotten it to teen. No, it seems like some of the different themes and things that they're going to be dealing with, this is definitely going to be over-the-top mature rating. And we were kind of getting that sense from the trailers where there was blood spray and it seemed much more violent than some previous Final Fantasy games. Really, if you think about it, I've had two other Final Fantasy games that were mature rated. Strangers of Paradise, which is pretty recent, but also Type 0, and some of the cutscenes there were pretty violent, so I'm really looking forward to what they do here with Final Fantasy 16. Not that you need to go mature rated to make a good Final Fantasy or something, but it would definitely feel a bit different than what we've had previously. Oh, and while we're all looking towards E3 in 2023, it does appear that we will have Summer Game Fest to look forward to, as we could see this tweet that was posted up from the account saying, save the date, June 8th, 2023. Join us online or in person for Summer Game Fest 2023, kicking off with a spectacular live showcase event from the 6,000-seat YouTube theater in Los Angeles. And I'm looking at this. All right, so Thursday, June 8th. Is this going to be an event that runs through the weekend, so all the way up till Sunday? Because that basically runs directly into E3, which is the following week. I mean, it's in LA, so is E3. So I guess technically if you're there for Summer Game Fest, you can then just walk across the street or just stay in LA and just go right to E3, which we're still looking for the other details around E3 when it comes to the media versus the public attending. They're supposed to be splitting up days and all this. Just seems like it's going to be very busy week and a half to 2 weeks for a lot of people to be covering this stuff. So do we need Summer Game Fest and E3? That's kind of the question now looking at it. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and the latest update that was released yesterday. This moves it up to version 1.1.0, and there was a lot of conversation around this because Nintendo included a bit of a footnote here along with the patch details, which let's head over here to the page that details the patch history and the different things that were changed and updated. We can see the update history with 1.1.0 releasing December 1st as the most recent. They say Season 1 of Ranked Battles will kick off, allowing you to enjoy ranked battles through the Battle Stadium. An issue has been fixed that caused the music to not play correctly during the battles with the Elite Four, the top champion in the Victory Road path, and then other select bug fixes have been made. So nothing here about performance or any of that, and that's kind of what I was trying to prepare people for, because the update that they were going to release, if it was coming out before the end of this year, turns out they got it out maybe earlier than most people were expecting, would have already been in development probably before the game came out, so they wouldn't have had a lot of the feedback that they're getting now to then take and work on a new update. Because these updates take time to go through certification and then get out there. There's a lot of hurdles you have to get over to release. But after all of this, we have this note down here from Nintendo, because they also included it in their tweet pointing to this page where they say, "We are aware that players may encounter issues that affect the game's performance. Our goal is always to give players a positive experience with our games, and we apologize for the inconvenience. We take the feedback from players seriously and are working on improvements to the games." So there we have it, an apology from Nintendo for the inconvenience seemingly around the game's performance. However, they have kind of separated the feedback and improvements to the games from them mentioning games performance. And this is a typical PR release, obviously, and they're going to word it very, very carefully. So they're not necessarily entrenched in, oh, they're going to go and fix the performance. It's still a very vague statement all the way around when you read through it and really kind of go through it line by line. However, this is not normal for Nintendo to come out, apologize for performance around a game like this that they've published, and then talk about improving it in the future. But they also don't deal with a lot of games that sell 10 million copies in 3 days, because there's a lot of noise around these titles since a lot of people are playing them, especially in Japan. If you look at Twitter and a lot of the Japanese accounts that were posting up, some of those tweets went absolutely viral, and, you know, Nintendo in Japan probably seeing these tweets since they're getting hundreds of thousands of retweets and likes, and a lot of it was just people having fun, joking, laughing, because some of the glitches were pretty ridiculous. Now, I am curious how much they're going to be able to fix the frame rate and resolution and performance all the way around, since there's a lot of work to be done here. This is, if you've been playing these games at all, it's something else when it comes to the performance, especially with multiplayer, which I tried it out 2 days ago. It tanks pretty bad if you get any more than 2 people on screen. I mean, we're talking, I think, single-digit frame rates at times, especially when you're approaching a town with a bunch of your friends, which is like one of the biggest selling points here, is that you can run around in an open-world Pokemon game with your friends in real time. So while it does sound like we could see performance improvements in the future, I'm not ready to give them the benefit of the doubt yet, because they released the game in this state in the first place. I don't necessarily think you can applaud them for coming out saying, hey guys, we're gonna fix the game now, because they've already sold everyone the game. So at least they're going to do something about it, but it's not necessarily, to me, something to go, oh, good job, Nintendo and Game Freak, because the game shouldn't have released this state in the first place. So we'll kind of keep an eye on this to see how things unfold as we get into 2023, because I'm not expecting any kind of performance improvements before the end of the year. In fact, I'd be surprised if any other patch released, unless something completely breaks from the patch that just came out and they have to do a massive hotfix. So we'll see as we get into 2023. I'm looking at maybe January, late January, early to mid-February for any meaningful patches that potentially could improve performance overall when it comes to frame rate, stuttering, and all this. Next up, let's talk about the Famitsu sales charts, because I was curious how things would go for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet in their second week, as well as the Switch in terms of hardware that was being sold. Let's head over here, though, to the top 10, this overall install base forum, with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet at the top, as expected, 577,279 copies. This pushes the over-the-counter physical sales to just over 3.1 million copies, which is absolutely absurd to do that this fast. It did drop 77%, but it's expected to have a large drop off from the opening debut week to the second week. Splatoon 3 still hanging in there at 39,322, so still a pretty big drop off from the first spot down to the second spot there. Minecraft on the Switch, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, because sure. Horizon Forbidden West had a surprising jump, over 170% jump, 10,107 copies, and I assume that's because maybe the bundle for PS, or just the PS5 in general coming back in stock in Japan. Then we have Ace Angler, Fishing Spirits, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Momotaro Densetsu, and Kirby and the Forgotten Land rounding out the top 10. Moving over to the hardware, Nintendo Switch at the top, 156,127 systems, down slightly from last week. The PlayStation 5, 50,920. So that, again, makes sense why Horizon had such a big jump when it comes to the software, with the PS5 seeing quite a bit of stock there for the week. And the Xbox Series, 11,939. Again, I guess just a lot of Xbox Series stock showing up there, with that Series S probably seeing some discounts that helped it out. The PS4, 2,220, and then the 3DS at 65. So looking at this, I would say a pretty good overall week for Pokemon and the Switch, as expected. And I think this is going to be a continuing trend throughout the holidays here. The Switch is still down roughly 650,000 units from last year at this time, and that's another trend I expect to continue as we go forward, since the Switch is, well, coming up on what's going to be going into its 7th year, and you expect it to continue to kind of drop off as we go year to year. Next up, let's talk about PlayStation Plus Premium. This is a tier that has certainly disappointed me since release, because I was kind of hoping this would be a driving force for Sony to get creative and, I don't know, add PS2 or PSP games into the mix here, and they really haven't done that much at all. Well, it looks like they could be lining up a very unexpected but exciting release for the PlayStation service, which we can see this posted up over on Push Square. PS Plus Premium likely getting Star Wars Battlefront 2 from the PSP. This did appear on the PlayStation Store, and in fact, while I was putting the show notes together, the store listing was up. And then they pulled it down, which is very unfortunate, because I'd like to show you the listing here. But it did mention PS4 and PS5 consoles that it would be set up for. So it's kind of like how they do a port to the current systems, and while it is running in an emulator, they may have trophies or something there. Apparently it's been updated with up-rendering, rewind, quick save, and custom video filters. It is interesting that they picked the PSP version, although I think that had some, trying to remember, I think I may have had some exclusive content. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments. But the part I'm curious about, and I'm sure many of us are, will this have any kind of multiplayer? Because that'd be awesome. I mean, I know Star Wars Battlefront 2, like the more recent one, that went through an entire situation with loot box and the government getting involved, and it still has not lived that down to this day, even though they have improved the game to where it's actually good now. But Battlefront 2 was an absolute classic from back in the day. And while I played it on the original Xbox, I think more than anything, it was there on the PS2. So again, it's interesting they would go for the PSP version of this game as opposed to the PlayStation 2. But if it shows up with multiplayer, that'd be great. Otherwise, you're going to play with bots for the most part, and it'll still be cool just to at least have some sort of meaningful classic release into the service, because it's been pretty much barren ever since they started this whole thing up with the PlayStation Plus Premium. And I hope, let's say this is a December release and it's upcoming in the next week or two when they are set to reveal the classics and the premium side, along with the PlayStation Plus extras tier with different games for PS4 and PS5 going in. Maybe this starts a trend of them actually remembering, oh yeah, there's a PSP, PS1, and PS2 section that we can update. Here's hoping. But hey, Battlefront 2, certainly a welcomed addition. Here's hoping that's part of their update in a week or two. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about a pretty big addition, and certainly a surprise, for Xbox Game Pass for the month of December. Let's head over here to news.xbox.com. Nice little card at the top showing all the different games. Available now, by the way, Eastward, cloud, console, and PC. That's a really good pickup for the service, and a game that I think would work well through the cloud, so certainly worth checking that one out. The Walking Dead, the final season, cloud, console, and PC, and totally reliable delivery service that is on PC. Moving up to December 6th, certainly the big one here. It was teased by the Xbox Game Pass account ahead of time through a way of basically a hangman setup with all the blank spots, and they filled it in. It is indeed LEGO Star Wars, The Skywalker Saga, cloud, console, and PC. I think this is a really good game, by the way, to put in there ahead of Christmas time. This is obviously, if you're a Star Wars fan, maybe you've already picked this one up, but I think it's just a good, fun family game. It has co-op, drop in, drop out, and it's a lot of fun to go through in small spurts. For example, play for 15 to 20 minutes, and you can have a really good time with it running around, just blowing stuff up, hitting things with lightsabers, shooting them with blasters, and rebuilding stuff to get across different obstacles. Then we have Hello Neighbor 2, that's cloud, console, and PC. Moving up to December 8th, Chained Echoes, cloud, console, and PC. This is a callback to the 16-bit era of JRPGs, turn-based RPG that definitely looks really cool with magic, mechs, and I mean, you mix in JRPG elements with mechs, you can't really go wrong. So that's a cool one to kind of check out there. We also have Metal Hellsinger on the Xbox One specifically. Moving to December 13th, High on Life, cloud, console, and PC. I've talked about this one in my preview video for the different games releasing in December. I will be checking this one out here. We also have Potion Craft, console, and PC. Moving to December 15th. Hot Wheels Unleashed, Game of the Year Edition, cloud, console, and PC. You hear Hot Wheels, you think of like licensed racing games, you're like, I don't know. It's actually a really fun game, so definitely worth checking out there. And then to wrap up, Rainbow Billy, The Curse of the Leviathan. I also want to point out a game that is leaving December 15th. Dragon Quest XI, Echoes of an Elusive Age. Unfortunately, will be leaving the service, and that gives you about 2 weeks if you want to go through it. It is a longer game. I recommend trying the game out, seeing if it's something you think you can get into, and then maybe buying it when it goes on sale, because this is a title that you can easily spend 100 hours in, but it is one of the best JRPGs I've played in a long time. But overall, a pretty good way to kick off December with that surprise for LEGO Star Wars, and even things like Chained Echoes that I'm at least curious about, I'll download and check out. Certainly a good slate of games as they head into the holiday season, when I'm sure many people will be unwrapping Xbox Series S and X systems. Might be a good time to pick up Game Pass and check out some of these titles. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're gonna take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I asked, Nintendo issued a statement saying they will work on improvements for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Do you believe the games will actually see meaningful updates regarding performance with frame rate, resolution, etc.? 59% just not confident, say no. 41% say yes. And Nintendo is issuing the statement. It's up to Game Freak to fix it though, and that's the biggest thing there. They did spend time working on Sword and Shield. Sword and Shield was not at this level though when it comes to just the poor technical state of those games. I don't know if Game Freak's gonna be able to fix everything, and I don't know if it's ever gonna get to an acceptable level of performance all the way around, just because there's so much work to do. So we'll see. And I'm still somewhere in the middle for it to become an acceptably running game. I don't know if Game Freak's gonna have enough time to get there, because remember, they gotta start working on the next entry at some point. And we'll finish up with the comments of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Nathaniel saying 1,000 planets in Starfield. I'm expecting a lot of got word of another settlement that needs your help vibes. So my thought with this, it's certainly a gamble, because if they can make this work and figure out how each one of these planets can feel unique and different from the other, to where it doesn't seem like it's a procedurally generated universe. You go to a planet, feels handcrafted, has a lot of personality put into it, unique quest lines. Then you go to another one, same thing there. And then another one, you're like, wait a minute, this actually feels like a living, breathing universe. That could be the big aha moment that we had with something like Oblivion, where you walk into the world for the first time and they open it up, or in Fallout, where you walk out of that first vault and you're like, whoa, this is a world where I can build my own story. In that case though, it's a universe where you can build a massive story. So I'm really hoping they can pull it off, because then I can sit back and say, okay, Bethesda did it again. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below, but everything we talked about here today was Nintendo issuing an apology and even a promise for the future with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet seeing improvements. Do you think these games will be in a much better state, say, a year from now? And then also, what about the PSP game, Battlefront 2, that appears to have leaked on the PlayStation Store? Do you think Sony has a couple of surprises for us with that PlayStation Plus Premium for the month of December? Thanks guys for watching. Have a great weekend. I'll see you back here Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time for Newswave.